Karen, is lunch ready yet? I'm getting hungry. Really? It's only 11 o'clock a.m., Marie. You got up late this morning, and we had a late breakfast, so I thought a later lunch would be better. Oh, I don't even remember eating. Maybe this is a sign of good health. Louise is hungry too, you know. Is that so? All right, I'll start preparing something now. I wish you'd do these things without being told. You really are inconsiderate. And clean our room already. It's been a week and dust is piling up. Marie's mother-in-law took it for granted to boss her around. One would think that if she's so healthy, she could do her own cleaning and cooking. I can't understand why she stopped doing things she likely did herself before I came into the picture. I'm Karen Miller, a 30-year-old dual-income homemaker. I'm still working at the foreign company I joined before getting married. There are late hours but hardly any weekend work, so I should be able to relax on Saturdays and Sundays. But from early morning to late night, I'm kept busy by my in-laws with household chores and errands. My husband doesn't help at all, even though I'm slaving away for his parents, Marie and Louis. I wasn't particular about living together or separately, so when my husband suggested living with his parents after we got married, I didn't resist. But lately, I've been wondering if it was a mistake. Living at home means no rent, my husband said so, huh? But I thought to myself, of course, I never thought of living for free, but I did think it would be cheaper than renting elsewhere. So we pay for utilities as a sort of rent. We split the food expenses with the in-laws, but since Louis and Marie, who are retired and at home all day, eat a lot for their age, it feels like we're paying more. Still, it's cheaper than renting an apartment, and since I was continuing to work after marriage, having the in-laws around seemed reassuring. I thought it would be easier if we share the housework. When I work late, my husband has already finished dinner with his parents. It's easier than coming home late and having to cook, but there's never anything left for me. We both work, so I thought it was only fair that whoever can do the housework does it. Before we got married, my husband said the same thing. He said housework is a piece of cake, leave it to me. So I thought he must have been doing various chores up until now. But it turns out since getting married, he hasn't done a thing. Laundry, cleaning, tidying up. Marie had been doing it all. He would even make instant food for himself. So even if I'm working late and my husband comes home early, there's no way he'll prepare dinner. I should be grateful Marie's there. Otherwise, I have to cook when I get back. But it's disheartening that my husband doesn't say a word, even when my portion isn't prepared. He never lifts a finger to clean up. The dirty dishes remain on the table, and the pots and utensils are left in the kitchen. I end up cleaning up after meals I didn't even eat. Coming home tired from work and then dealing with this is quite exhausting. My husband, having skipped dinner preparation, acts as if he's had it easy, which just adds to my frustration. In this house, everyone thinks it's natural for the daughter-in-law to do the cleaning and laundry. The in-laws don't even clean their own room. On my days off, chores pile up as if they have been saving them just for me. Sometimes I wonder if they're deliberately creating tasks for me. Louis is 68 and Marie is 65, but they're incredibly energetic and talkative. They seem more vigorous than me, so I wonder why they can't do the housework. Well, it's good that they are healthy. It would be much harder if they needed care, that's true. But listen, if it ever gets too much, come back home. You always have a place to return to here. Don't feel like you have to endure everything. If you want to escape, you don't have to suffer in silence, Mom. But you're also going through a lot, aren't you? Please don't overdo it either. Having Mom to listen to my complaints helps me keep going. But right now, I have another worry. My father, Sam, is ill and in the hospital. His condition doesn't seem to be improving. My parents are a close couple, and Mom visits him almost daily. I try to visit as much as I can, but between work and chores at my in-laws, it's hard. When I finally manage to visit, Dad looks so happy, which reassures me. But each time I see him, he looks thinner, and it pains me. Mom must be feeling the same way. Mom, are you resting enough? You look pale. I'm fine, dear. Just make sure to take care of yourself. I know. Mom smiles, but she really looks pale and lacking energy. I'm worried it must be fatigue from caring for my father. Despite knowing about my father's hospitalization, my husband doesn't visit, and my in-laws act as if it's not their concern, continuing to give me tasks. I'm not just a submissive daughter-in-law. I push back sometimes, especially with Louis, who often asks for annoying favors. Karen, can you massage my back? I'm tired too, so that's not possible. Why don't you buy a massage machine or ask Marie or Austin? It's a daughter-in-law's job. I don't think so. Louis is fit enough to play golf and go to jazz bars, so he doesn't need that kind of help. Karen, I'm going to take a shower. Can you wash my back? No, asked Marie. It's not fun having an old lady do it. What sort of fun is he talking about? Since Lou retired a year after we got married, it's been like this. When I tell my husband to just wash his back, he unbelievably says, as if I haven't even washed my own father's back since becoming an adult. Louis is just an old man who's technically a relative. To be honest, it even feels creepy 3 years into the marriage. What I thought was a simple fight has turned into a situation where my in-laws dump chores on me, my husband doesn't help, and there's no sign of improvement. Meanwhile, my own family is ill, and he doesn't seem concerned. Maybe it's time for me to go back home and take care of my dad with mom. My husband then drops a bombshell. I've got a business trip for a week starting this weekend. Really don't contact me unless it's an emergency. It's embarrassing to get calls from my wife all the time. Understood, I respond. I wouldn't contact him unnecessarily anyway. I'm also working, I'm not that free, and I've never called him at work before. 2 days after my husband left for his trip on a Monday, I get a call from mom while at work. She has never called me at work before. I immediately think something's happened to dad and answer in a panic. Karen, Sam's condition has suddenly worsened. Mom's voice, crying on the other end, echoes in my ears. I'm coming right away, Mom. I tell my boss, who says, go now. I rush to the hospital by taxi, but I am met with a cruel reality. Mom's not in Dad's hospital room. I ask the nurse, who looks down, visibly uncomfortable. Well, Mrs. Miller, you've just arrived. Where's Mom? I implore. She passed away. The nurse hesitates. For a moment, I couldn't comprehend what I was told. I had rushed to the hospital after receiving a call from Mom about my father's critical condition, but now they were saying Mom had passed away. It didn't make any sense. Please, the nurse says softly, leading me to another room with just one bed, dimly lit. Someone was lying there, but it couldn't be Mom. Yeah, as I approached with trembling legs, the face. What I saw was unmistakably my mother, silent and motionless. Mom was there. How could this be? The nurse explained that after calling me, Mom had returned to my father's room. A while later, they found her collapse over the bed, still holding my father's hand, already lifeless. Perhaps a heart attack, the nurse suggested. As she spoke, another nurse appeared. Mrs. Miller, your father? At the same moment, I returned to my father's room. He passed away. No way, no way. I felt as if all strength had drained from my body. I couldn't understand what had just happened. Both my parents gone, just like that. It was too surreal to believe. I stood there stunned for what felt like an eternity. I need to tell Austin, and in a daze, I remembered to contact Austin. Shaking, I took out my phone and called him. As the phone rang, the reality of my parents' deaths hit me, and I couldn't stop the tears. Hello, Austin. I'm at work right now, but it's an emergency. My dad and Mom have. They're gone, I managed to say through my sobs. Both of them are gone. An accident? I asked, hoping for a different answer. No, but I don't know what to do. Despite my obvious distress, Austin's response was cold and detached. Did you forget what I said before my trip? He continued. I'm on a business trip. Don't call me unless it's a real emergency. For a moment, I couldn't comprehend what Austin had said. It was probably because his response was so far from what I had expected. I thought I had misheard, but the shock made my tears recede. What did you just say? I told you not to call unless it's an emergency. My parents just died. Isn't that an emergency? If they were about to die, maybe. But what's the point now? That's not an emergency. What are you talking about? You're coming home, right? It's not too late, I pleaded. I'm busy. Goodbye. Austin hung up, and no matter how many times I tried, he didn't answer again. Then I called Marie. Marie, my parents passed away. I thought it was just your father who was sick. Yes, but both of them. Well, isn't that nice? They were such a loving couple. Better for them to go together. You know they say loving couples go to heaven together. They must be happy. How can you say that? Well, you'll be busy now with the wake and the funeral, but it's good you can do it all at once. Louis and I won't be attending. What? We don't want to risk our health. Leaving people's health is more important, you know. In that moment, I realized the saying like father, like son was true, but it brought me back to reality. I informed my supervisor about my parents' passing. Unlike Austin or my in-laws, my supervisor showed genuine concern. He even helped me arrange the funeral at the church. Without him, I would have been completely lost. Despite Austin's words, I thought he would return for the funeral, but he never did. Thanks to my supervisor, colleagues, friends, and relatives, I was able to say goodbye to my parents. The real sorrow hit me after the funeral, when I returned to my parents' house and faced their photographs alone. I never imagined they would both pass away so suddenly. I couldn't believe that this was like a bad dream I'll wake up from. I talked to their photos. This can't be true, Dad, Mom. It's not fair to leave me alone like this. I held their pictures and cried like a child. After crying, I realized the harsh reality. Austin, who didn't bother to show up, and in-laws who didn't even attend the funeral. I had no family left to support me. Anger towards Austin began to build up. How could a husband not rush to his wife's side at such a time, saying such things during work? That's not normal. I was prepared for what was to come. 5 days after the funeral, 3 days later than planned, Austin returned, acting as if nothing had happened. I couldn't understand how he could be so indifferent. So, your parents' funeral is over, huh? Of course. What do you think? Well, I extended my trip by 3 days to avoid the funeral hustle. Must have been fun for you. It's work, not fun. But you're lucky now. No need to worry about your parents' old age. Any insurance money coming in? Austin's face had a smile that seemed almost inhuman. I wondered if he was an alien, unable to understand human feelings or words. Are you serious? Yeah. How much of that money do I get? What? What are you talking about? Of course, the wife's money belongs to her. I felt tears coming again, wondering why I married such a man. When I stayed silent, Austin looked around the room. He finally seemed to notice the change in the house. What? The house seems so tidy. Did you clean it up like you did with your parents? His insensitivity made my fists clench. How far could this person test one's patience? How could he not offer a single word of comfort to his grieving wife? But he was clueless about reality. It was time for me to make him understand. I took a deep breath and looked up at Austin. I'm going on a long business trip. Take good care of Louis and Marie. Austin seemed confused, looking around the house, still nothing grasping what I meant. Where are Mom and Dad? Did they go shopping? He just realized they're not here. Where did they go? To the hospital. They hurt their backs while I was away. For my parents' funeral, my in-laws started to move a very heavy piece of furniture from my room to theirs and ended up with lower back strains. When I returned, they were in agony, unable to move, having gone without food or water for 2 days, unable even to go to the bathroom. I wondered if this was some kind of divine retribution. I called an ambulance for my in-laws but didn't accompany them, explaining that we weren't related. Emergency vehicles don't allow non-relatives to ride along. I gave the paramedics Austin's number, but I knew him well enough to expect he wouldn't answer unknown calls. Why didn't you contact me? Well, you didn't come back even when your parents passed away, so I assumed you wouldn't for a back injury. Don't equate your parents with mine. Your parents are strangers, but mine are family. Oh, I see. That's reassuring. Then you'll take good care of them. What do you mean by take care? If they're immobile for too long at their age, they might end up bedridden. Austin started trembling. That's not true, right? You'll do well taking care of your precious parents. I have an important business trip. Our parents are in trouble, and you're talking about a business trip. Are you even my wife? I glared at Austin. Which mouth is he speaking with? How dare he, who ignored his own in-laws, say that to me? But I learned from you that business trips are more important than family emergencies. That's different. I never imagined my own parents in such a situation, especially during an important business trip. If I had been treated well by my in-laws, I might have felt obligated to care for them. But unfortunately, I felt no such inclination. I can't bother with others. Besides, like you said, my parents were family, but yours are strangers to me. Aren't you my wife? And what are you? Weren't you my husband? Even your colleagues were shocked. Colleagues? What are you talking about? Your boss attended the funeral. I had called Austin's company when I couldn't reach him, suspecting something. When I explained that my parents had passed away and I couldn't contact Austin, I learned he wasn't on a business trip but had taken paid leave. Austin lied and went somewhere. Why he lied was clear. He emphasized not to contact him, probably because he was with someone he'd be troubled to be seen with. He was on leave, not a business trip. Where did you go and with whom? Your colleagues were also wondering where you were during my parents' funeral. You'll probably be asked when you return to work. Austin turned pale. Taking leave isn't a problem, but being unreachable in such a crisis is. I'll have a hard time explaining that, plus my potentially bedridden in-laws. He probably just woke up to the reality waiting for him after his enjoyable trip. Anyway, you deal with my parents. It's your job as my wife. I've decided to stop being your wife. I'm here to tell you that my long trip was not a lie. I don't lie like you. What do you mean, stop? I am divorcing you. I handed him the completed divorce papers. My things are already at my parents' house. Then who will take care of my parents? That would be their son, you. I can't do it. That's none of my concern. Leaving Austin behind, I returned to my parents' house. I had checked Austin's computer, finding plenty of photos of him with another woman and evidence of their trip together. I printed everything out, making the divorce process straightforward. I naturally demanded compensation from Austin. His affair and absence from my parents' funeral became widely known at his workplace, leading to criticism from his boss and colleagues. He became uncomfortable at work and eventually resigned. The conflict over the compensation claim and his resignation from work led to his affair partner leaving him. A month later, my former in-laws were discharged from the hospital. They're now homebound, living mostly in bed due to their refusal to undergo any rehabilitation. They seem financially stable with their pension and savings, but Austin, unable to find a new job, is only working part-time jobs to barely contribute to the living expenses and care for his parents. He's stuck at home, constantly arguing with them. He called me once, crying and begging me to return, but I refused. My former in-laws also reached out, claiming that Austin's care was inadequate and asking me to return and take over. When I suggested hiring a home health aide with their funds, they refused, wanting to save money without considering how long they might need assistance. Their words, expecting me to take care of them cheaply or for free, made me realize they hadn't changed at all. I never want to be involved with them again. I still cry when I think of my kind parents, but I know that constant tears won't let them rest peacefully in heaven. Once I complete the memorial ceremony for my parents, I plan to go on a long-term overseas assignment. I'm ready to move on, keeping my parents' memories close and embracing life positively with a smile.